ready to take your investment game to the next level? Introducing Digital Investor, your ultimate guide to mastering the digital marketplace. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, Digital Investor brings you cutting-edge game theoretical strategies, expert insights, and real-time tips and tactics to analyze, evaluate, invest and grow your wealth. Don't miss out on the digital revolution. Visit www.nickblacknex.com and start your journey with Digital Investor today.
Brandon.
Hey.
Meow. Right meow.
Yeah.
Let's do it right meow.
Okay. Since we're here.
Let's see. Let's bring this down to a sensible level. All right. Do we have any officey clearing up, tying up, anything that we need to do?
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on a second, because I got out of that wallet really quickly. But this is, let's see. Let me just go here. Perfect. Okay, so the Node Factory pool, if you have Node Factories or whatever, should be running again. The graph was down for like 9 days. Hand for the graph, right, everybody? Thank you. Thank you for being our dependable source of decentralized storage, the graph. We appreciate it. Anyway, so it was down for like 9 days, but the pool's up and running again, so you can go claim your hypercycle rewards for your Node Factories again. Should be good to go, as well as last month's NFT rewards. So pretty cool. Not a very busy month for NFT rewards. Obviously, we're doing the transition between Node Factories and fees, and we still haven't determined a. We had a meeting with Hypercycle this morning, but we still haven't determined exactly the way that we're going to roll out just the marketplace for fees yet. But that's going to be pretty big as soon as they get compute clients coming on board and stuff. I think that's going to be pretty cool. But I think there was a lot of let's see, in the meeting today, I know you guys always ask, but in the meeting today regarding Hypercycle, I think there was just a lot of learning some things. Anyway, so well, that's it as far as that goes. But we talked here. Let me share my screen too, because this was, yeah, you guys sure messaged me last day, yesterday, and we did this behind the wall. But maybe we should have done it in front of the wall too. But we talked about this Bitcoin retirement calculator. You guys loved this thing or whatever, which is pretty cool. But there was one more feature that I wanted to talk about on this thing. It's a fun little calculator to play around with. But I'm going to put 5 Bitcoin in here just to show this a little bit better. Because this is, no, let's put 10. Let's put 10. So 42 years old, 90. We're going to start here. But if you guys, I think I put the link to this in a couple different places. If you don't have the link, I'll try to drop it in more places again today. But let's just say that you have 10 Bitcoin. And the only reason I'm putting that's a crazy amount, right? But that's the only reason I'm putting that is because I wanted to show you guys this little button down here. We're assuming an optimized version of Bitcoin in this calculator. This means we get to 10 Bitcoin and we only sell once we hit the retirement age or whatever. This says 40. This says 44, right, or whatever. Let's bump this up to we want to spend next 600,000 a year, but it says 51. So once we get to our retirement age of 51, if we acquire 10 Bitcoin, Bitcoin will be at a price of 558,000 or whatever it is at 20% CAGR. Once we get to 51 years there, this assumes we only sell the amount of Bitcoin that we need. So that means month one, we only sell $50,000 worth of Bitcoin because we can live that month on our 50 grand. And then we keep the rest of the 9.99 Bitcoin or whatever for the next month, and so on and so forth. There's a button down here that lets you go to conservative mode. And what conservative mode is let's just assume that your heart palpitations are getting so much when you retire that you don't want to deal with the fluctuations of Bitcoin anymore, and you decide, okay, I reached Bitcoin age, I reached retirement age, I'm selling it all, and I'm putting it in treasuries or whatever it is. So we go from a retirement age of 51 if we decide we want to man up and keep the Bitcoin. If we optimize this and go conservative style, that means at age 51 or age retirement, we sell all of our Bitcoin. We have to go till age 62 because that would make it so we have to hold Bitcoin longer because we're selling it all for cash, and cash is a depreciating asset that loses money every year. So if we don't want to like,
it's another 11 years.
Yeah, another 11 years. You have to deal with it. You
strip mined 11 years worth of progress by dumping.
Yeah, by dumping, because you dumped your Bitcoin, the highest appreciating asset of all time, and will be probably for the next 20 years going forward. And you sold it for cash, which is like not advisable. So obviously that's the reason we're having our show today. Is we want to figure. A couple of you guys messaged me like, oh man, I got to get to that like 2 Bitcoin or 3 Bitcoin or whatever it is, because even if you get to 3 Bitcoin on the optimized schedule, dude, you're only 16 years away from like quote unquote. I don't believe in retirement, but you're quote unquote retirement, whatever, you know, which is pretty rad. That's $600,000 a year too. Like if you only want to spend like $200,000 a year, which is that's only like 9 years away. But what are you saying? Because
I got a question about retirement. This is a question for you and everybody else.
For the class. Okay.
Let's say you currently work a full work week, whatever. You're an actual person. You know, a contributor to society.
So 90 hours a week, like a full normal work week.
Let's be nice and say 40 plus. How many hours a day would you consider still working, but that you're retired? Like, because everybody's going to do something, right? You're not going to just go play golf and get a heart attack and die. I mean, you might, but what is the minimal amount of work each day that would still be considered retirement?
Dude, I'd still work like, are you asking me? I'd still work 4 hours a day and still feel like I'm retired.
Yeah.
Is that I don't know. What does everybody else think? I don't know.
Chris came in with a 2. Unless
okay, I like 2.
20
Steve's
a day.
Still work 20 hours a day.
God damn,
Steve.
You ain't never trying to retire.
That's a busy retirement.
He ain't doing. Yeah, he's never quitting. I work 16 hours a week. Jeffrey, some might say you're already retired.
Oh, that's because I'm like 20 hours a week. I still think's retirement.
Yeah.
Because here's my thought, right? 4 hours a day, like that keeps my mind sharp still, right? That's still like, it's not manual. Like when I was 14, 15, 16, I did concrete. I poured concrete foundations, right? I did flat work concrete. I worked. And then when I was 18, I went and dug fiber optic lines, right? So that's definitely the more labor side of things.
Hold on.
What's up?
When I was 14 through 20, I worked at a go-kart track.
Oh, that's way better job.
I know what hard labor is.
You sure do, buddy. Picking up those go-karts off the ground. That's right. But I feel like in retirement, you're working a different type. You're working more of a mind-bending retirement type of work, right? In theory. So, yeah. No action at this time. Oh, what? Okay. So 5, 4, 4. So a lot of people are around the 4 hours a day, right? During retirement, right? I think that's.
So this wouldn't be the 4-hour work week. This would be the 4-hour work. What it means is nobody's ever retired.
Which I don't think we're in an economy where people can retire, right?
I don't know that we've ever been in one where people can retire, because life expectancy keeps getting longer. And so if life expectancy gets longer, that's more time for your savings to decay due to debasement.
My father-in-law retired last fall. He hasn't worked a minute since.
Really?
It's super weird.
Yeah, he's on his way out then.
He worked a job though. He worked at a university. He was like the tech guy. He put in his 40 hours. I don't know what he did still. He worked. Nobody knows what he did. He went, he showed up, he got a paycheck. That's it. Good for him.
Good for him.
Good for him.
I got to relocate real quick. The Death Star is burning a hole in my retinas.
Oh, can you imagine being at a place where you get that sort of luxury? So I guess our goal today is we got to kind of figure this out, because I heard there were some people that messaged me and said, oh no, I'll never get to 3 Bitcoin. And I'm in the same boat. I'm like, dude, I got to get there, or 3, or whatever you put in here, right? So our goal is, I mean, here's the problem too. Over the last year, 2 years or whatever, Bitcoin was the best asset. So our goal is we got to get to a place where we can acquire that Bitcoin at the fastest rate possible, whether it be through options, whether it be through buying assets that outpace Bitcoin, or achieving some sort of yield that can get us to these Bitcoin, because these Bitcoins are our store of values.
Bitcoin yield?
Yeah. We got to get to Bitcoin store value, right? So we got to outpace Bitcoin to be able to yield enough somewhere else, options, perfect, to yield enough to buy Bitcoin, to hold it for our store of value, so we can get to quote unquote retirement. So that's our goal. That's what that's what we're going to get on.
But Steve, you may be a retired geologist, but you're a teacher. If you're a professor, not a teacher. Teachers are like PE teachers. You're a professor. You profess.
Yeah.
That's a real
thing. What up?
Some cool shit.
The other thing, you probably saw this, right? So the in Arizona, they re-put that Bitcoin bill. They restructured the Bitcoin bill. They put it all the way back up through, and guess what happened?
She vetoed that shit.
Katie Hobbs. She vetoed. You saw Connecticut. What did Connecticut do? They said,
they went the other way. They said that cryptocurrency can't be used in any government capacity.
Yes, they just 100% said no. Wait, is that where Elizabeth Warren's from? I can't remember. Is she from Connecticut?
I thought she's from like Massachusetts or something weird.
Okay, yeah, you might be right. Let me see. Elizabeth Warren, where from? Oklahoma. She's from Oklahoma?
Yeah, but
okay, but not. What is? Yeah, she's not.
Wait, if she's from Oklahoma, a lot of things. A lot of answers. I just got a lot of answers to a lot of questions I had. That's why she was so sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you up and done learned. Massachusetts. That's basically touching Connecticut. Come on. But yeah. Okay. So she's from Oklahoma. I did not realize this.
You know why?
Elizabeth Warren.
You know why the license plates in Oklahoma say Oklahoma is okay? Because they can't spell shitty.
Yeah, you lived in Texas for a while, so you know all about Oklahoma. Okay,
it's just a place where tornadoes go and suck people out of their trailers into the sky.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, it's not aliens, people. It's weather.
So this is unfortunate. So Katie kind of botched it again. I think she did not. So she vetoed. A couple of bills were coming up through here. This is one of the ones she vetoed. The other one she vetoed, this is the digital assets obtained through criminal asset forfeiture. She did pass one of them, and I think it was, oh my gosh.
It's the one where if you find Bitcoin on a park bench, the state
Yes, which is actually even still better than California. I guess they did pass that law. If you don't move your Bitcoin,
but
for
again,
3 years.
This is a misinterpretation. It's the same as any state where unclaimed property goes into an unclaimed property registry.
Right.
The state doesn't possess it and they can't profit from it. And you have infinity time to log in. Like I just did it and I actually got like $190 from where I used to live, because I just there was like 2 return checks or something weird and I just never got them. And like where you wrote a check to somebody and they couldn't accept it. And I had like $190. I logged in. They sent me a check.
Rich.
The state of Texas sent me a check for $190.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, you can go and make a claim to the assets. They basically warehouse it, but it's not under the state's ownership. So people are taking that all wrong. Like, oh, they're going to steal your stuff. No, every state has a state registry process. Matter of fact, you can look up how to get unclaimed money and run your name through a database, and it will find all the places where you have unclaimed money. And then you go and file a thing, prove you are who you are, and they will send you a check.
Heyo.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the quote of the day. Oklahoma's the place where tornadoes go to suck people out of their trailers.
This is true.
Hey, we need to send another tornado up there. We got too many people.
It's just smiting the what, economically disadvantaged.
Yes. So
like a rattlesnake.
you saw I think was it Tuesday? Wait, yesterday was Tuesday. No, it had to have been last week, Monday. I don't know. Circle filed for a national bank license, transmitters license, or something like that. So they're going to become a bank, right?
Yeah.
So that's good. Today, you saw Peter Thiel, Joe Lonsdale, Palmer Luckey. I don't know that guy actually. They're going to start a new tech bank, and it's going to be backed by basically a fully digital U.S. bank to help crypto startups and crypto firms, which is pretty cool.
I don't trust the guy with the mullet. I'm not sure.
Wait, this guy?
I'm not sure I'm all in on mullet guy.
Wait, who is that guy? That's not Peter Thiel, right? That's got to be Palmer Luckey. That's got to be Lucky.
I don't care. I'm not giving a stolen nickel to a guy with a mullet.
No, he's going to give you money. He's going to lend you money.
He's going to give me anything but heartache.
Yeah, he's going to give you money. He's going to start a bank. All these banks popping up to start the crypto industry. I wonder if JP Morgan will turn around quick enough to be able to beat all these other guys already in the space.
Well, they don't have to be faster. They'll just cheat. Jamie Dimon will get everybody to put the brakes on all these banks getting their charters. And then he will just be first because he can cheat and no one can stop him, and he's the biggest crook that no one cares about.
Yeah, but he has to want to cheat. If he still thinks crypto is
they've been buying Bitcoin since 2010 over at JP Morgan.
Not Jamie Dimon.
They got into crypto before we did.
They got into crypto before 2009.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
They were in 2006.
It's like, we bought Bitcoin back in 2005. Yeah, you talk to those guys like, dude, I almost, they're like, I had a chance to buy Bitcoin in 2001. That's how early I was, buddy.
Everybody has a story like that. Every time I talk about crypto, someone's like, you know what? A couple of years ago, I'm like, stop. Let's not go down that path. Everybody should have done this. I should have picked the lottery numbers last week, but I didn't.
Should have, would have.
Oh well.
Didn't.
Yeah. Well. But once I saw the lottery numbers, those are the ones I would have picked.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I try to freeze people in that kind of line of reasoning. If you were gonna buy Bitcoin, you'd have bought Bitcoin. There's a guy that we play soccer with who's a emergency medical doctor, and he was like, I was gonna buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin in like 2013, and I got it all ready, but I just couldn't do the bank transfer part. I was like, well, what do you mean? Then what do you mean you got it already? Like that's the only part. The only part is buying it. Like that is the only part.
What? He went and got it from my couch cushions.
I got it ready. I got it ready. I got the money ready, and I had it
right here.
But you bought that house. You got the money for that house, and that was a lot. And that was really confusing. Somehow you made that work. So I ain't got nothing for you. I was gonna. No, you woulda. You didn't. So that's it. Hypercycle question. What does tranche 1 concept mean? Is there anything we need to do regarding onboarding?
So I don't think so. I think your wallet's just ready. If you did all the steps prior, then I think you're just ready. So I don't think you need to do anything.
Yeah. You want to know how many steps I did, Brandon?
I'm gonna guess all of them. All of 0.
The shape of that Bitcoin.
Yeah. I gotta wait just a little bit longer. Hypercycle's gotta take those next steps for me.
Hey, what do we think about Solana staking, buddy?
So that was interesting. So that Rex, was it the Rex? Oh my gosh, yeah. We should. I should pull the. We don't usually do this before, but I should pull up the chart. So here's the day that they got approval of the. Well, it wasn't even. So that was what's confusing. It's only one little ETF. It's not Fidelity's. It's not anybody else's. Remember,
they have to go refile. Yeah.
Yeah, so they got approved. It shot up. So it went from, what was it at? It was at 151. It shot up to 163 in a matter of minutes.
Amazing.
Then holy crap, dude. Look at that drop, man. It dropped. I'm going to tell you guys. So it dropped from the 163. It dropped 12% like that day.
Yeah, that's in the business. We call that a bed shitting.
Do we call that a sell the news event on the fake ETF that got approved? Because it's not even a real ETF. Unless it's BlackRock or Fidelity, I don't think it's a real one.
It ain't real.
I don't think it's real. I honestly don't. I don't like all these canary ones, all the ones that are filing for a Pengu, an XRP ETF. They're not real. Unless BlackRock and Fidelity get approved, nobody has the financial backing. Maybe ARK, maybe, I don't know. But like Fidelity and BlackRock, if they get approved, then that's the real deal. That's where we got staking. That's where we got something happening. Okay. Who was it else that somebody got their staking ETF? The SEC yesterday said they need to come back to the table, and they told them, no, you're useless. Was it Bitwise or BitTrue?
That is actually how I bought my first Bitcoin. I had 4 gold 1 ounce rounds. And I was working at the refinery. I had a bunch of silver, but I didn't. You know what's funny? I didn't sell any of my silver to buy Bitcoin. I only sold gold coins. I think they were Eagles. But anyway, yeah, I had 4. They were either Eagles or Maple Leaves. Anyway, there was 4. Yeah, that was my first Bitcoin investment.
Oh, was it? Oh, the SEC delays decision on ETH ETF staking proposal. Okay, so they hit the brakes. I wonder what's going on with ETH staking. Why is it such an issue for them to get ETH through the finish line, but Solana seems to have no issue whatsoever? I don't know.
Problem. I mean, by the way, the crypto market's doing pretty good today, right now. Bitcoin is starting to grind towards.
Yeah, Bitcoin's doing good, and Ethereum's almost back to where it is in 2020.
You know,
almost back.
We don't need that kind of naysaying. Let's take a win, buddy. Let's just take the win.
Yeah. So Bitcoin, good job, guys. Good job.
Yeah,
we don't need that kind of naysaying.
XRP, even if whether they do, whether they don't, it just doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, no one wants to hear this, but institutions are not going to build on Solana. Institutions are not going to build on the XRP ledger. There's nothing to build on. You can maybe process some weird payments, but people they're not going to leverage these companies. They're just not. Anybody, well, first of all, the guys over it, no one, you'd have to be an idiot. You're a banker. You go to your board, a bunch of stodgy, elderly, aristocrat, whatever the kind of super kind of old school thinking, legacy mindset, 1960s educated bankers on the board of your bank, and you say, hey, we're gonna launch a stable coin, which they're already a little uncomfortable with, but they're open to the idea because the Genius Act just passed, gentlemen. They're putting their dentures in, putting their bifocals on. You're like, and we're gonna launch on Solana. And then they just start looking at each other. Like, what? Solana. And one of them's like, what? Solana. No, I understand. I hear what you're saying. What are you saying? So, done, out. It's just not. And we're going to launch on XRP. What? You mean those 2 guys that stole all that money got caught and they still owe a fine for getting caught? Those crooks that got rich? Selling, undercutting the market. And then lying about token supply, lying about it. Yeah, no, man. What are they doing over at Chase? Oh, well, they built their own system based on Ethereum. Oh, well, why don't we just do that? What is the most popular stable coins? What's the network they're on? That'd be Ethereum. Well, why don't we just do that? Yeah, that's every boardroom discussion that anybody that's going to enter the space. There may be a few weird situations where some little creep over at Stellar weaseled their way in, and a bunch of other people, compliant rubes that don't know the difference, are like, yeah, we'll launch on Stellar. And they don't realize they're going to be handcuffed almost from the start. and that they won't be able to interact with anyone else. And their stable coin will basically be a little walled garden of kind of dysfunctional bullshit. Most people are going to launch on Ethereum or a layer 2. Period. Full stop. That's it. That's it. So I think anyway, that's my bit. That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's my bit. Yeah.
Now, you'd mentioned something earlier about why is the price of Bitcoin not moving? Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, or what are you researching?
Well, what I've come up with is, obviously, as the price goes up, it unearths new sellers, like we were talking earlier. No matter how diamondy your hands are, they become wet tissue when the price goes up. Because you're driving around and you're like, I might like a Ferrari or a Bugatti. I might like the house down the street that's bigger than mine. I mean, I want to keep up with the Joneses. I want to have the Joneses over for dinner just to make fun of them and in a quiet and kind of pridefully smug, arrogantly asshole way. So I can't do that if I don't buy stuff. So,
right.
So it's as the price goes up, as number go up, diamond hands are going to come out and sell. So there's no such thing as I'll never sell. Like Max Kaiser, I'll never sell. You'll sell whenever you need money, Max, because those leather pants you wear at age 90, they don't come cheap. All right. So that's part of it. The other thing is, I think there's a lot of OTC sales going on because I think there's a lot of miners that are on the verge of having a business that's insolvent, or at least like borderline not making it. And so they have to sell everything they got as quick as they get it, right? They can't afford to be stockpiling. Some miners are stockpiling, but you could imagine the less profitable, maybe less well-known, like the medium and small mining facilities that don't have the kind of economies of scale that some of the bigger companies have, they get whacked. And so they have to sell. I think that's what it is. So yeah, that's my guess. Yeah,
I think yeah, you're probably right onto something for sure. The other thought, I know you guys have seen those charts. Maybe we brought this up last week on the show. The amount of retail buyers right now in the market are pretty negligible compared to the amount of institutional buyers. So the concern was too, somebody had this chart regarding selling and the price kind of going up, but the amount of wallets are actually dropping. So what this chart kind of tells me is what you said first, is a lot of old wallets that just had maybe 10, 15 Bitcoin they've been holding since they bought it for $20 or whatever it is back in 2000. Actually, that's not true. Most people bought Bitcoin, I would say around $1,000 that are still holding, right? Maybe higher, that are holding long-term holders. Not a lot of people got it for $20. But anyway, these wallets are kind of just like, yep, we're done. I saw this guy the other day, he'd bought one of those gold. Do you remember those old gold bars that used to be 100 Bitcoin or whatever? They were 100 Bitcoin bars.
Oh, and he broke it. He broke one open.
Yeah. So he broke one open, he sold it. It was 10, he made $10 million.
Karma something bar, Karma Gia bars.
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, okay, and I don't know if you know the whole story on that one. And so yeah, those, what are they called? There's that car. Yeah, I should look it up really quick. But anyway, they used to have these.
Yeah.
These old bars, and what somebody did, they made these gold bars and they put in basically a private key, and then they melt it into the bar. It's a holographic private key, and when you're ready to sell, you lift up the holographic private key, you type it in, and you can go do whatever you want. That's the Bitcoin's yours. It's basically like cold storage in a key or whatever it is. But it's funny those guys sold those, because if they put, I guess they've got them in a way. I would have to look at the whole story, because wouldn't the person who made the bar also have the private key? So it's like, anyway. So this guy, he went and he sold he bought it for $500. It ended up being $10 million with Bitcoin. He just cashed out. He's like, I'm done. I'm out. He almost sold it at one point for $1 million. And he's like, no, I'm going to hold. He held it to $10 million. Anyway, he cracked open the key. He posted the picture of the key online, right? And even though he got his $10 million in Bitcoin, he forgot that what happened during the period of him holding it since $500. Bitcoin fork, right? So every Bitcoin holder that had all that Bitcoin.
So he got not just Bitcoin Cash. There's a bunch of forks.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things. So he only took the Bitcoin off. He's like, dude, super excited. He went on Reddit. He posted the picture of the private key. Check this out. I got this. So good for him. He won. I don't care.
I'm gonna bet he left $3 million on the table.
No, it wasn't that much. I think there was $40,000 in Bitcoin cash.
Okay.
I thought it would have been more, but anyway, he it was like $100,000 he left on the table. People wiped that stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, think about, I would never, even if I pilled it, I'd be like, I'd post a picture of the bar, that's fine. But he posted the holographic private key. He posted that bad boy. People went and milk sausage that thing. It was gone. It was gone. So anyway, he lost all his Bitcoin cash. Anyway, so this.
Wait, did you say milk sausage?
Yeah, they ate it up, man. When we were kids, we had a lot of. My mom would mix like milk with like gravy and stuff, and then throw all the sausage in there, and we just eat that stuff up.
That's not what I thought milk sausage was.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. Bitcoin wallets are dropping like crazy because those old holders are selling and they're done. But institutional buyers are making up the difference here because now we got institutional buyers buying like loads, and they're really making up for it. But that still doesn't negate the fact, still doesn't negate the fact that sellers are still selling like crazy because they've reached the $100,000 level. Might be maybe the $1 million level too, but the $100,000 level was a big one. And now we've kind of put that's kind of like, we've made a base out of that. And once we get this base solidified, I think we're going to be off to the races here. And we're going to be doing pretty good.
All right. Should we get behind the wall and then we can talk more specific to the peeps?
Yes. Oh, the last thing that I wanted to like bring to or query you. SBET, you saw SBET, they bought another $100 million worth of ETH. They're now making, I think, like 200 ETH a day or something, like something crazy just from staking rewards. Had MicroStrategy just bought ETH, how much would they be making a day, you think, in ETH rewards? I mean, it wouldn't have worked because it's not like, I don't know, but still, you know how much they would be making? They'd actually be making enough to pay their Strike, Stride, and Strife yield funds.
They're making Bitcoin yield.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Did you see Strike, Strife, and Strike? They jumped like 30% yesterday because they got introduced into they're getting considered to be approved in the S&P 500.
Yeah, whoever allows that is a moron. That's
insane, though. That those instruments can jump 30% is absurd. That basically puts the yield on those things decked down to like 6-7%.
Well,
people are still buying them.
Well, I don't dismiss the price of the assets going up crazy because you have a bunch of dummy retail investors that have been giving him money forever. So why wouldn't price go up? It's the same dummies. It's all of his shit is meme coins. He's got meme stonks. He's created this whole ecosystem of meme stonks. Anyway, let's get behind the wall. We just said that, James. You can't Johnny come lately and then take credit for it. There ain't no sheriff.
That's insane.
Technically, you are now the sheriff. He's
now the sheriff. He's the boss.
JT.
He is.
JT's got a badge. And when JT speaks, we must listen.
We listen.
Yeah. All right.
Let's go behind the wall. JT says.
JT said, what JT says we do. Okay. So if you want to get smarter, and you want to be the smartester of your friends, you want to join us. You want to join us for Behind the Wall.
Going behind the proverbial wall now to continue the broadcast privately for the digital investors and digital private clients. If you'd like to join us, simply go to nickblacknext.com and subscribe to one of our plans and immediately take advantage of our library of tools, tactics, and information. It's all designed to help you learn, grow, and manage your portfolio like a pro. Join us now. We're going behind the proverbial wall now.
Oh! He's trying to get that second paycheck.
Paid overtime. I pay him.
Pesky those English. The Brits.
Dude, pay the man. Pay the man.
Give him the cash.